Alright, so we're going to do question 65 out of the book, which says, if we have 1 gram of aluminum hydroxide and that reacts with 3 grams of sulfuric acid, what is the mass of the water produced, right? So we have our equation here. You have aluminum hydroxide plus sulfuric acid, then produces aluminum sulfate and water, H2O, right? So first we got to do is sit here and we got to balance this because right now it's unbalanced. So if we were to go through and rebalance the equation, right, we would need 2 of the aluminum hydroxide. We would need 3 molecules of the sulfuric acid. That would end up producing 1 molecule of aluminum sulfate and 6 molecules of water. Right? So now that we have a balanced equation, we can start to figure out what your limiting reactant is. And so your limiting reactant really is the molecule that's going to basically produce the least amount, right, or have be fully used up within the reaction, right? And so in order to go figure that out, we got to convert all these into moles, right? And because we're dealing with all liquids and solids, no gases, we're going to use molar mass as our conversion factor, right? So aluminum, the molar mass of aluminum is 26.98 grams. The molar mass of oxygen is 16 grams. The molar mass of hydrogen is 1.01 grams. The molar mass of sulfur is 32.07 grams. And those are the main units we need, right? So at the end of the day, AlOH3, the molar mass of the entire molecule is 78. Actually, I'll just write that right above it. It's 78.01 grams. The molar mass of sulfuric acid is 98.09 grams. The molar mass of aluminum sulfate is 342.17 grams. And water is 18.02 grams. Right, so now that we have the molar mass for each of the molecules, we can start to figure out what, convert the equation into moles and figure out what our limiting reactant is. Alright, so we're going to start with the aluminum hydroxide, right? So we have, in our equation, we know we have 1 gram of AlOH3 solid, right? So in order to convert it to a mole, right, we've got to then use our bridge. So 1 mole equals 98.09 grams of AlOH3, right? And so then we're going to convert that and get mole to mole. So then we're going to have 6 moles of H2O. Sorry, this is 78, not 98, sorry. 78.01 grams of aluminum hydroxide, 6 moles of H2O, right? And then we have 2 moles of aluminum hydroxide. So we're going to bring that down here and say we have 2 moles of aluminum hydroxide. And then we're going to convert this back into water. So then we know that we need, for 18.02 grams of H2O equals 1 mole of H2O. Right? So now that we have that all laid out, what we can do is then start to eliminate in what we need to do, right? So in this formula right now, we know that we can eliminate the gram to the gram, right? And then, sorry, this is 1 mole of AlOH3. I can eliminate mole to mole, and I can eliminate mole to mole here, right? Then we do the math, right? 1 times 1 times 6 times 18 divided by 78.01 times 2, right? All that, bringing it all together, and that brings me down to what that'll do is then the answer is the amount of water that it'll produce, which is 0.69 grams of H2O, right? So we know that we started with 1 gram of AOH, right, produces 6.69 grams of H2O. So now let's look at, we have 3 grams of sulfuric acid. So we're going to do that, take it through the same process. Okay. So we're going to say 1 mole of sulfuric acid converts into 98.09 grams of sulfuric acid. And that 3 grams, so we have, okay, so we made that connection there, so now we're into moles. We have 3 moles of sulfuric acid, and we have 6 moles of water. So, because we got to go figure out what we have from a water perspective. So we have 6 moles of H2O over 1 mole of H2SO4. Okay, now we got to figure out how much water we have. So for 1 mole of H2O equals 18.02 grams of H2O. Okay, so if we then multiply 3 grams, sorry, we got to eliminate here, right? So we know that we have 3 grams of H2SO4, so gram eliminates gram, right? We have 1 mole of H2SO4 and 1 mole here, so mole eliminates mole, right? And then we have 6 moles of H2O. Oh, I actually wrote that backwards. So we're going to flip that on its head because we need to be able to eliminate. So it's 18.02 grams of H2O over 1 mole of H2O. Okay, so now we can go ahead and eliminate that. So now it's just a simple math equation of 3 times 1 times 6 times 18.02, right, all over 98.09 gram times 1 times 1, right? And what that leads us down to is 1.10 grams of H2O. So in this case, the 1 gram of aluminum hydroxide will get us to 0.69 grams of water. 3 grams of hydrogen sulfate, sulfuric acid, get that right, will get us 1.1 grams of water, right? And so in this case, because the smallest number of what can be produced comes from the water, right, the aluminum hydroxide would be used up first, right, before the 3 grams of the sulfuric acid. So in this case, aluminum hydroxide is our limiting reactant. All right? Thanks, guys.